Hiya. Good afternoon, Gavin. Right, how you doing, mate? I've got Gavin Hedges on the end of the line here. He's originally from New Zealand, now lives in Scotland in a tiny village called Ballater. Teaches Muay Thai. Built his own gym in his garden, which is bigger than his house. And but he's going to tell us all about that in a minute. So hiya, Gav. Welcome, mate. How you doing?
How you doing, sir?
I'm very good. I'm very good.
Good.
So, what's the weather like up in Scotland at the moment?
It's absolutely pissing down right now.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Surprising, huh?
It's hammering down. Yeah, hammering down. It's like winter back in Birmingham. And is it not snowing in Ballater? It's normally snowing when it's raining here.
No, just rain.
Yeah, it always snows in Ballater. Right, so you're a New Zealander in Ballater, which is it's basically in the Cairngorm Mountains in the north of Scotland, near Aberdeen, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Right. How did you end up there from New Zealand? I'm interested.
Basically originally I came over with my girlfriend into London and did the big OE, did 2 years in London, and then you travel around and then you go back home again, basically. We broke up 3 weeks after arriving.
Right.
So that was it was like, there's the door, see you later. So I have families from Scotland originally, so I ended up over here, ended up in Edinburgh originally.
Oh, so, right. So you've actually got family from Scotland then, not over.
Yeah, my dad's from Scotland and my grandparents, my mother's side of Scotland.
So they must have emigrated then to New Zealand.
Yeah, my dad.
Right. Now I understand the connection with Scotland, like, because it seems funny. I mean, I met lots of guys from New Zealand, lots of Kiwis and Aussies down in London, but not really up in Scotland, because obviously quite a lot of the guys moved to London for work and things like that. Yeah, but you ended up in Edinburgh. Well, right, okay. So you're originally from which part of New Zealand?
It's Whakatane. It's a small town in the North Island. Bay of Plenty.
So on the North Island, right? Okay. So is the weather the same as the UK? Is it? Or?
Oh no, no, it's much completely different climate than here.
Right. Okay.
I think it's changing, to be honest with you, speaking with my parents and stuff back home. But at the time, it's really doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. A lot of sunshine, very little rain. So just perfect kind of. A lot of people retire in that part of the country because it's such a climate.
Why did you move?
I say it all the time.
Yeah, I suppose when you're young, it's like restless, isn't it? It's like you want to see. Well, I know I always wanted to see the world and see different things. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
I mean, when I was 20, I joined the Merchant Navy. You know what I mean? And I sort of saw bits of the world like that as well. But I like traveling anyway. I like being around different places and different people. So obviously, you're a Thai boxer now. You're a senior instructor, and you've got your own camp called Fearless in Ballater. So people should check that out if you're near Aberdeen at all and you want a good crazy gym to train at. Would you say it's like an old school approach you've got to training?
Yeah, I think it is. It's it's a very weird mix. I've done so many different martial arts. I kind of I would say some of what I teach is very traditional. Some of what I teach isn't traditional. But yeah, it's definitely an older. I approach it differently than a lot of people. And and I work. A lot of the training we do is stuff I learned 20 odd years ago. A lot of the mindset.
And that was when you went to Thailand, yeah?
This was when I first started when I was in New Zealand.
Right.
Okay. My original club, very, very old school, very speak when you're spoken to, you didn't answer back, you didn't, very traditional martial arts gym at the time. So obviously don't have that kind of structure with people where you tend to be a bit more jokey, a bit more fun, but definitely a lot of the lessons you learn back there when it comes to conditioning.
Because you teach as well, and I think it's right in saying you can still keep discipline and have a good time, can't you? I learned that from training in Thailand, that you can have a good laugh, but it doesn't mean you're not going to train hard. Whereas I was brought up in a karate, so very much like you, Gav, in that it was very structured karate classes. I mean, I started when I was a little kid at 10 years old, and you were terrified of the teacher. You know what I mean? And it was like total discipline, total silence. You know, you had to bow, and the floors had to be clean and all that. And then you train in Thai boxing, and it's a bit more relaxed, isn't it? But the training is even more intense. Would you agree with that when you trained in
Oh, yeah.
Thai?
Yeah, I don't think. I think to be honest with you, the karate stuff wasn't. It wasn't that the training was super hard, but it was the discipline side of it was it was pretty strong would be the polite way. We spoke once during class. One of the other guys and I were having a bit of a joke, and
Yeah,
we had to do wrestlers bridges outside on the Chucky car park, and that was and just stay there. We were there for about 10 minutes on our heads on the rocks,
what?
and
Really?
that was the punishment for speaking when you weren't supposed to be speaking. So to go from that background to Thai boxing, as you say, where it's especially in Thailand, where it's a lot more relaxed, there's a lot more fun going on. The sparring's a lot more fun, but
Yeah. And
it's
yet,
hard.
and yet, and yet, they come up with the goods at the end of the day, don't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
understand that if you're training, these guys are fighting all the time. They're fighting sometimes twice a week.
yeah,
You know that yourself how often they're fighting. So the last place they want to get injured is in a ring training for a fight. Then they
yeah,
can't work. They can't fight at the end of the week. So it's their livelihood. So they're not gonna do stupid things to themselves training. As I say, I don't get paid to train. I'm paid to fight. So
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you find it's the same? When you're teaching in Scotland, like I mean, I find the same thing in England when I'm teaching. That some guys will go too heavy, and you know what I mean, and try and kill each other when they've got fights coming up in 2 or 3 weeks' time, and you have to pull them back. Do you have any trouble with that? I
yeah,
know
we
your guys
do.
train pretty hard, and I know that you're like a fighter camp, aren't you? Really, you predominantly have fighters there.
Yeah, I mean, I think recently quite a few places I would imagine has had to change the way they do things. I've had to change quite a bit in the more recent years to
Yeah,
try and attract guys that aren't fighting because we were having guys come to train and they'd leave. They'd do a couple of classes, they wouldn't come back. Then you see them in the pub drunk a few months later, and they'd just be like, "Oh, you guys are fucking animals. Like
yeah,
we can't do that. You it just can't." And you're like, "I thought we've been really welcoming and trying to be nice, but it's just some of the guys are pretty loony. It's
oh
not
yeah,
that people
yeah,
aren't welcoming; it's the work that they're putting out. If you're
yeah.
not used to that, people think that's how they should be training as well. So it's it's a bit harder if you're not accustomed to that kind of thing.
But you've got. I think I'm right in saying you've got quite. I like the attitude, right? I mean, I like off the wall stuff, and I like people not conforming. And didn't you get a bit of flack from some of the other camps, like because you were wearing trilbies in the corner, which I thought was epic. I remember you all look like so almost like travelers in the corner the way you were dressed. I mean, was that a deliberate thing to like psych out the opponents, or were you just having a bit of a laugh? I think I know what the answer is, like, but
We were just right at the very first guy was one of the guys when we were really first started, and we had a couple of guys fighting. And one of the guys that's just his character, Robbie, and he's like, "Oh, we should, you should put these hats on, and we should put on some proper shirts and look. And he wasn't thinking, oh, we should look cool or anything. It's like just look smart. That's how you look smart. He's like,
ah, right,
and
okay,
he thought we were looking smart. So the first the first thing we got, first place we went to, and I always remember we were in the change room, and one of the first comments we got was, "You guys, I don't even know if we're allowed to say what he said to me." It's like, "Hey, you fucking bags with your fucking hats on. Who the fuck you think you are?" And we're like, just wearing hats, man.
I
But
mean, what was the problem? I mean, I thought it was when I saw the pictures I thought it was brilliant. I thought, what a brilliant, just having a bit of fun with it. Because, well, you know yourself, the Thais like to have a really good laugh at fights. They take it seriously, but they don't take themselves very seriously. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
and you get a lot of camps that come in and they've got everything. They've got the moncon, they've got the flowers, they've got everything. It's perfect. Like they believe it is in Thailand, and they're bowing and doing this a million times. And you just go, well, they don't really do that in Thailand. I remember my teacher Pamu. He just put his cornerman jacket on, and he had a woolly hat on and a fag in his mouth. You know what I mean? And he was coaching from the corner and shouting, and and it was just like he had an old jumper on underneath his thing. There was no big deal. But I mean, don't you think people trying to make too much of it? I mean,
Yeah,
what do you?
I think when we first did it, we got that reaction, and then we thought we had a few people like, oh, you're the guys with the hats, So people started remembering who we were. We're a small
Exactly.
gym, and people started to know who you were. I mean, we were down in England for one of the fights down there, and it's funny you think, say we got to look like travelers. Well, we didn't realize that that's exactly what they thought we were, and we went to the corner for Robbie fighting, and the guy was like, oh, you can't be in the corner like that. We're like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, you can't be in the corner like that. So what do you mean? And they wouldn't let us fight. So we're standing arguing with the referee about, but those guys are wearing t-shirts. Like, what's the problem? And it was because they generally thought we were travelers, and they were like, we don't want whatever's going to happen here if this guy loses. So that was
Did you,
hilarious. Like,
where was that? Can you name where it was? Is it Lancashire or Manchester or where was it?
I think I honestly can't remember. It was quite some. I think it was Liverpool actually.
Oh, okay. Oh God, you would
Yeah,
think.
they generally were not happy that we were dressed like that at all. Like, but they remembered us. There's other gyms there that we'd
Well,
seen at shows years later. We're like, oh, you're those guys that were wearing. Yeah, you're those guys.
yeah. Well, it's like it's no different than having different coloured shirts on. Like the Prior Peachai colours are black, red, and yellow. So we have black, red, and yellow stuff. And then people go, oh yeah, the black kit. Oh, that's Prior Peachai. I don't see the difference, except I think it's quirky having a hat. I thought it was a great idea. I mean, Tom Sweetman, one of my fighters, when he saw it, he said, "Oh, we should all wear Piggy Blinder caps." You know what I mean? And he was in the corner once with me with a Piggy Blinder hat on. But of course, if we'd all had them on, that would have made a statement. Uh, where did the name of the camp come from? Fearless.
I just decided.
Just made it up.
There's no great story there. No, just thought I quite like that. The
Yeah,
old
yeah,
days, you had the No Fear and you had Bad Boy and all that sort of stuff back in the day. So
yeah. It's a good
quite like
name.
the name.
I think it's a great name. And again, it sort of fits in with the hats and you know what I mean. It's like we're fearless, like we don't give a shit. Let's just we're here to have a fight, guys. What's the problem? Yeah,
But this is it. It's and people think you're taking it. Some people think you're taking it a bit too lightly.
yeah, yeah.
We do walk-ins for our guys. Sometimes we've had monkeys walk guys to the ring.
I've seen that.
We've had triple monkeys. We had a full Egyptian walk in with the Queen and and
I never
Pharaoh.
saw that.
Oh,
That's
it was brilliant.
brilliant.
We had the wee jackal-headed people.
Yeah.
We had them. They walked at either side. The Pharaoh come down. Oh, brilliant.
Oh man, I never saw that.
We used to do that.
I bet that was I bet people were shocked, were they?
We always have a laugh with it,
Oh
but some
yeah,
people
yeah, exactly.
doing that, they think you're not serious, they think you're not actually taking the sport
No,
seriously if you're going doing all that kind of stuff. But it's a bit of fun, and we think it, depending on the fighter, obviously, but
yeah.
we think the fighters are a lot more relaxed doing that. They have a bit of a laugh, and then when they get in the ring to fight, it's a bit more relaxed atmosphere. They're not so stressed out. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, that I never, never even thought at that point because obviously before a fight, the lads get stressed out, get a little bit nervous, particularly if it's their first few fights, and
Yeah.
having all of that fun around it just makes it, laughable. I mean, I've done a similar thing with a couple of my guys when we fought down in Wales. I chose music for them. And there was Right Said Fred, I'm too sexy for my, and that was their walking music, and another one was Sweet Caroline, and the whole audience was singing it. And of course, my fighter, I thought was great. She was loving it, you know what I mean? Because everybody was singing along with the song, like. And I think people sometimes just take it just a little bit too, it's like this is a world title or something. It's not, it's like it's your fifth fight, mate. You know what I mean? In Thailand, I mean, the lads have, they've had 5 fights before they're 10 years old. You know what I mean? So if we go back to Thailand, so you were training obviously in a camp out in Thailand. Whereabouts was that? Whereabouts was it?
No, it was Koh Phangan, one of those small islands. You got Koh Samui, basically across the water from Koh Samui.
Yeah.
So
What
it was good
made you
because
choose one of the islands? Was that just you happened across it, or?
I was because I was going there the first time I was going to train, but I was also going for a holiday as well. So I wanted somewhere that was off the beaten track. And at the
Yeah,
time, there was no roads on the island apart
no,
from very very sort of inland. So where
yeah,
I was completely inaccessible unless you had a boat. So it was
right.
perfect, you know. But yeah, it was just a perfect little place. It's good.
You see, because nowadays people think of the islands as being like touristy, which they are now, obviously,
Right.
because people saw how pristine they were and how cut off they were. So people started building hotels in the damn places.
Yeah,
But you were lucky in that you got on one of the islands before it all, I guess, before the whole tourist Thai boxing thing took off.
yeah, it was starting. I mean, it wasn't like it is now, I imagine, but yeah, it was starting to be right. We had the boxing camp, and then right next to it was a hippie commune, and it was one of the a destination from around the world. So that was really busy with people.
Right,
But
right.
one of the fun parts of the day is that they had to walk right past the boxing ring to get to the beach. So they used to just walk past every day and abuse us for being animals, for hitting
Yeah,
each
yeah.
other.
So
It's quite comical.
how many fighters were in this camp then? You know, just as an average number. So was it a big camp, small
It
camp?
wasn't a big camp. No, there was maybe 3 or 4 Thai guys that were fighting, like proper fighting, you know,
Yeah,
all the time. And then there was a few guys here and there that were just doing bits and pieces. And then there was
yeah.
some foreign guys that were there as well. So
So you,
nothing.
yeah. How many? I mean, were there a lot of foreigners there when you went, or was it? You know, I remember you saying something about a French guy. Was there a French
Yeah, there was
champion?
quite a few guys coming through. Yeah, there was. Well, I don't know. There was maybe 5 or 6 foreign guys as well that would come through.
Yeah,
It was constantly changing just because of where it was. It wasn't that many people that stayed long term, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of people coming through for a couple of days here or there or a week or sort of thing like that.
Oh, okay. And just do a bit of training and then do a bit of holiday stuff, and then they'd come home, like sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think we're lucky with the trainer. We had the trainer was I didn't realise, as you quite often don't. You know, I knew he fought. I'd watched him fight a few times and didn't think much of him. And we went. Him and I went away to one of the other islands just for a trip. I don't know why no one else
yeah.
wanted to go, but we went and we got to the ferry terminal and someone just gave him a scooter. Yeah. Oh, here's a
Quite
scooter.
nice.
And they're all bowing down to him and they're all touching him. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Like, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was one of he was in the shop doing something and people were like, oh my God, you know him. But he's one of the really 600 odd fights, top guy in Thailand, represented Thailand against, you know, represented Thailand outside of the country in
Wow.
Japan and stuff. So very
Yeah, yeah.
famous, very high level guy, a lovely guy.
And
My weight,
you didn't know any of this,
I
of
had no
course.
idea. Same
No.
size as me, exact same weight as me, actually same birthday as me, exact same age as me, but obviously on his decline, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of
Is
fights.
he still around? Is he? Is he still
Yes,
alive?
yeah, yeah.
And he's still teaching, I guess.
He's still teaching. He
Uh-huh.
was fighting up till not that long ago, but what they used to do is they used to send all the up and comer guys from Bangkok, the champions or the guys that were pushing towards titles. They
Right.
used to send them down to the islands to fight him. To get past him, then you could make a run at the younger top talent kind of thing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. He sounds pretty formidable. I mean, 600 fights. I mean, you know,
Yes,
I've known some Thais who've had like 400, 500 fights, and it's a tough business as well. If people, you know, there might be people listening to this or watching this and thinking that's ridiculous, 600 fights, but it's a fact, isn't it? And they don't boast about it either, do they? Because it's not something they lie about. The Thais.
no, we used to he used to always say to us it was hilarious because you'd get guys there that had come to fight, they'd come to train, they were training twice a day, they were, you know, they'd put all the effort in, and
Yeah.
when it come to fighting, it's always some excuse. Oh, my knee's sore today. Oh,
Oh,
no, I'm not. I don't want to take a fight just yet. And you know, they're fat guys, you know, really fat.
yeah.
It was always the same. Oh, I've got a sore bit. And Pooh used to always say, he'd be like, oh, arm broke, still fight, leg. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, I hurt every day I hurt. But, you know, they don't have an option. Well, he didn't have an
No.
option. It was his job. So it would,
Well, Yeah, and that's a good point you made. They don't have any option, do they? So
Yeah,
it's pretty brutal sort of life, isn't it? Yeah, and we're sort of quite soft in our attitudes compared to them. Well, some of us are. I mean,
yeah.
you know yourself, you'll have lads who come up with the same excuse. I've cut my thumb, you know, or something like that. You go, I mean, I remember one of my fight. I don't know whether you remember Jason, who used to fight for me and train with me. You might not have met him, but he had about 30 odd fights. And in one of his fights, he broke his arm in the first round, and he just carried on. He knew it had gone, but he didn't tell me. And he just kept doing this with his arm, and he just kept on fighting, you know. And then obviously after the fight, he lost the fight. He went the distance, and we took him to casualty, and it was broken in two places. He got it fixed up, and literally once he had the plaster on, he was back down the gym training,
Yeah.
you know. And then you've got guys who like, oh, I've hurt my ankle, I kicked the bag, and I've broken my toe. Yeah, and they have no conception of what it is to actually train hard. And usually those are the guys that won't make good fighters, you know, because they just give up, don't they? And
Well, yeah, yeah. If you're
yeah,
gonna,
yeah, you don't see that in Thailand, or do you?
no, no. I remember who fought one day, and he actually had he'd broken a piece of his elbow off, broken the bone at his elbow joint. So he had a hunk of bone float around inside the joint, and his arm was swollen up. And he kept saying, "Oh, it's like broken." And he's showing us X-rays, so his arm was broken as well as this hunk coming off it. And he's hitting still hitting pads.
Yeah,
Oh, oh, no good arm. He's
no
like, I
good
just
arm.
elbow this arm and kick. And
Yeah,
then 3 days later, he's fighting. We're like, "What are you doing? You know, you're supposed to be getting an operation." He's like, "Oh, no, it's okay. I just no punch," and jump back in the ring and fight again like that.
yeah.
Just and
It's a
when
different life. It's a different attitude, isn't it? Completely.
oh, it is, yeah, yeah. I mean, people don't get it. I've had
Yeah,
people, yeah, I'll break my toes. I break my toes all the time. You know, you throw a leg kick and the person moves, and you cut a knee or something, and your toe snaps, and you can
yeah,
feel it snap, and you just straighten it back up, put a bit of tape on it, and
yeah,
get you crack on. And
yeah.
people
That's
think there's something wrong with you. Like,
yeah.
what's wrong with you? Like, you're like,
Yeah, it's how you do it. That's what Thai's about. It's quite a brutal sport. I mean, when I had me gym full time, I was on the pads for 10 years. You know, I literally padded people virtually every day and sparred with them for 10 years. You know, and probably all the injuries I've got now, the arthritis and stuff like that, have come from that. But you don't think about that if you really love what you do you?
no, you don't. No, I've been told to stop numerous times.
Oh, I know you've got all sorts of injuries, haven't you?
My boy's ruined.
I know
He'll
you're completely
promote the
destroyed.
sport. My body's ruined.
Yeah, but you still built a gym in your garden. So you can. So you were telling me the gym's actually bigger than the house then?
It's got a bigger footprint than the house
Yeah,
has. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I
And you
brought the
bought
house
the house.
specifically.
You bought the house because it's got a big garden,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you
We
dug.
looked at it.
Yeah, you dug all the footings, didn't you? You did it all yourself.
Yeah, me and well, most of it. A couple of lads that I used to train actually.
Uh huh.
Guys we're really good friends with that used to fight for us and stuff. Come around and helped us with the foundations. And,
Uh huh. So
yeah, all the
where did
guys.
you learn where did you learn to do that then?
Uh,
Did you just have a go?
no, I do maintenance for a living, so I build
Oh,
stuff.
of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course you do. Yeah.
Never built a building like this before, but you know,
No, no. I was going to say. I mean,
YouTube,
that's maintenance, you know.
YouTube is yeah, YouTube's your friend. So yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely spot on. I mean, if you want to learn something, just go on YouTube. You should have filmed it, shouldn't you? And
I
a
was,
time
I was
lapse and
gonna,
gone how to build your own gym, and then put that on YouTube.
I started time lapse when I destroyed the old building, and I got so annoyed with having to keep going and setting the camera up, I stopped doing it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna do
So,
that.
so once this lockdown's over, you'll be running your gym from your gym in your garden, then I guess.
Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
that's kind of the
Yeah.
plan for things. We do classes here, and I do classes also in a hall somewhere else as well. But we just started using this place right before
Yeah. Before the lockdown thing. Yeah.
everything lockdown. But so yeah, we
So
went around using it.
you've got like a couple of clubs, haven't you? Really? So the Ballater's where you are, obviously. Isn't
Yep,
there one in Aviemore?
it's one
Is
in
that
Abbey Moore as well.
Aviemore? Yeah. Is any others? Was there any others?
And there's one, Michael used to train in Avonmore, is opening one in Dundee.
Oh, there's one in
Um,
Dundee now. Oh, that's.
he's going to
Oh,
open up in Dundee once he gets, again, it was all
oh
set to
once
go,
we're,
and
yeah, of
then
course,
this
out
happened.
of
So,
lockdown. Oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be able to do a Scottish tour then, won't I? That'd be good.
you will be, yeah, yeah.
Because I love coming up there, like, because I like Scotland anyway. I mean, I would probably end up living in Scotland if I had the choice. To be honest, like, I know the weather's not brilliant, but I just like being in Scotland, you know. So, because I first met you in Aberdeen, then
We did, yeah.
at Pat Davis's Aberdeen Martial Arts Group,
Yes,
and
yeah, that's right.
uh, what was the story again? I remember you telling me about you were over in, was it, you were in Skye? What were you doing in Skye? Working?
I lived in Skye. I've got a bit of my original story from coming over here, very long-winded, but it's a bit
Right.
here and there. I was in London. I came up to Edinburgh
Uh-huh.
to stay in Edinburgh, and then I did, when I lived in Edinburgh, I was basically sleeping on someone's floor, and I was
Right.
working multiple jobs. I worked morning shifts in a hotel. I worked in a factory, and then I went from the factory at 9 at night to a bar, and I worked at 5 in the morning at a bar doing
Wow.
picking up glasses, and I still couldn't afford to live. So I took a job up in Skye then as a live-in accommodation, just for a place to stay. I didn't. I
Mhm.
just went to the job centre and asked anywhere that had a live-in accommodation so I could live
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
So I ended up there, basically doing that. But
Okay.
then about that it was a very short season, but it was at the end of the season anyway. So the season ended. I couldn't find work again up there. So I ended up back in Edinburgh, and
Uh-huh.
ended up back in London. Then ended up homeless. So I slept on the streets for a while in London. Uh,
Seriously?
yeah, I was living like a living as a homeless person for a wee while in London.
Oh my
It
God.
wasn't
I
so
didn't
much
know
fun.
that. Yeah, yeah.
No, it wasn't so much fun. So I ended up then I went back to New Zealand. I used my emergency credit card.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a
Oh, the
bad
good old.
idea in case of emergencies, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
ended up back in New Zealand, and then because the credit card was an emergency credit card, I ended up in the 3 months I was back in New Zealand. I ended up owing $15,000 for a flight back from the UK because they charged me interest and all these penalty fees and all this kind of crap. So the only way I could pay that off was basically to come back. So I used a return ticket to come back to Scotland. So ended up back in
Wow.
the Isle of Skye again.
Man, that's mad. That's crazy.
It
I
wasn't a good
never,
start to being in the UK.
yeah, I mean, God, yeah, that's mad. That is, I can't believe you ended up homeless in London.
Yeah, I had a good routine. I had a job. That's the funny part. I was working,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
wasn't
You
able
were
to live.
working, but you couldn't afford the accommodation. Obviously, I mean, there's quite a few people in that sort of position, even more
It
so nowadays, isn't it?
was a commission only job, so you could go and do an 18-hour day and make not a penny. So it was horrific. Is to do door to door selling, in London,
So
and you get.
I mean, how long was that for? If you don't mind me asking, like,
That I was homeless for.
yeah,
Well, I was probably about a month or so. Wasn't a,
only a month.
wasn't a huge amount of time,
Yeah, but I mean,
But
so you just like living on park benches and shit like that, like.
I figured out how to sneak into the subway at night when they do maintenance.
Oh yeah, of course it'd be warm down there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're following behind the maintenance workers, and at least you're not getting mugged. And
No, well,
did have
that's
a
what.
guy trying to steal my backpack one time. That was quite funny. Whilst I was strapped into it, stopped the car and grabbed it and dragged me off the bench and tried to run off with my bag. That was quite a.
Oh man,
Yeah, it wasn't fun. I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't
no,
not
no,
a
but
great
I
experience.
mean, it's an experience, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good story
And
now.
then so you ended up ultimately you ended up via Edinburgh, London, Skye. You ended up in Aberdeen or near Aberdeen,
Yeah,
which
yeah. I
is
ended up. I went to Thailand. First, I went out to Thailand. I went out there.
yeah,
It's more a training holiday kind of thing. And when I came back, I decided that after being in Thailand and dealing with all that, everyone's happy and everything's, so
yeah.
relaxed. I came back to where I was in Scotland. I think I lasted a week. I couldn't do it. I couldn't deal with people. I couldn't deal with that, So I resigned, but I had the option of because I'd been there so long and I'd done management stuff with them, they offered me a move to another hotel where, same job but different hotels. So I kind of looked where had a Thai boxing gym, or where was the closest place to somewhere that did, and Aberdeen was at the time the only place that had a Thai gym. So ended up here.
And then obviously you're living in Ballater now, and you're still working in maintenance, aren't you, in the hotel trade, like?
Not the hotels, with private people now, but yeah, still doing the same.
Yeah. Are you
Same thing, but
finding
it was
that?
actually
Are the hotels managing because of the lockdown and that? Are they? What's the state of play?
I think that, to be honest with you, they're dying anyway. I think that the Airbnbs and the different accommodations have taken over, so the hotels aren't really doing that well anyway. But they're all still shut, and I think things are starting to open slowly. But there's a big one right behind my house. They're closed. They've still been closed right the way through. So
because you're not going to be able to manage other. I mean, you can't sustain being closed for any length of time unless you're part of a chain. You're not going to manage, are you? Really, it's going to be quite.
No, not. Yeah, I don't know how any of them have still got any money left to keep going. To be honest with you.
No, because it's nearly 5 months, nearly, isn't it? It's 4 months, something like that. It's crazy.
Crazy, like the amount of time. A lot of them, I think, were struggling to begin with. They weren't doing well.
Yeah.
So it's a shame.
Yeah.
The Ballater especially need tourism. That's what keeps the place going. If you don't have it.
I mean, places up in Scotland like that, like the Isle of Skye, it's funded by tourists, isn't it? But people can't. Obviously, nobody can travel really to Scotland or go anywhere.
It's dead. It's just been it's completely dead.
So of course, you're working in the daytime, and then you're training in the nighttime, I guess. Yeah.
Still working, thankfully. So working Aberdeen, so commute back and forth to Aberdeen every day. So.
That's about an hour's journey, something like that.
Yeah, an hour each way. Hang on an hour to where I'm working. So
you good. Sometimes on your bike, or is your bike knackered because you're into motorbikes, aren't you?
I am. My bike got flooded. Both my bikes got flooded when we had the big floods. That's like 4 years back now.
I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that on the news, and I thought that looks like the area where you live, because I've been to your house the house you lived at previously.
Yeah.
And then I remember speaking to you, and you said the house was completely wrecked, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's my bikes were right under the water, unfortunately.
So are you higher up now? Have you bought a house?
No, we're actually worse. We're actually closer to the river.
Why you even lie down?
This house was completely flooded. So yeah, it's closer to the river in a worse place. But they say it was a 1 in 100 year thing. So
yeah. So luckily, you might just see the next one.
hopefully.
Right. Obviously, I want to start wrapping this up now, because we're doing about an hour, and we had a few glitches at the beginning, which people aren't aware of. But I've made them aware of now. If is there anything you'd like to talk about that I haven't possibly mentioned? I mean, we've talked about Thai boxing, we're talking about your attitudes to life generally. Do you want to continue doing what you're doing? How do you see things going on in the next couple of years? Your next 10 years, we'll say.
I don't see me stopping, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to be a lifetime thing. It has. I've done Thai. I've just in the last few years started taking up stick fighting as well. So.
Right. Okay.
So I do that as well for just someone else to do.
Yeah.
Which I thoroughly enjoy, just because it's violent and
you like fighting.
You don't just get to kick people; you get to hit them and you get to hit them.
Stick fighting's great. I love
it.
So, yeah. Without armor or with armor? I know what you're going to say, Gav. I know.
No armor.
No, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
It's with Dog Brothers Martial Arts, so they're very.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Oh, yeah. They've got a hell of a reputation, haven't they? So what? That's made me have a question now. What got you into stick fighting? I mean, I've got a feeling I know, but what got you into it?
One of the guys I train, actually, Graham, that I've trained for a long time. He's an instructor with Dog Brothers. So he was training as Thai boxing with me for years. and obviously I knew about Dog Brothers through AMAG. I knew about the gatherings and all that kind of stuff they do. So he used to go off to his gatherings. He'd tell us all about it. He's going off to a gathering, and it was always the same. It's like you're a mad bastard. Like you never catch me doing that. And he'd always try and, you should come and, no interest in doing that stuff, mate. I'm quite happy not getting hit with the snake. And then eventually he was running classes. I actually asked him if he'd like to run classes alongside us. It's like, well, we've got the space already booked, so would you mind doing some lessons with us? And so he basically started teaching me stick fighting, and I teach him Thai, and
yeah,
good.
that's a good trade, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good trade-off.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, similar style of teaching to me, and a very similar way of understanding things as me. So it works out really well. It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty full on, isn't it? Dog Brothers stuff. It's it's proper stick fighting. I would call it proper stick fighting, because there's a lot of stick fighting clubs out there, screamer clubs and that, and it's very fancy and it's very nice, if you like. But the Dog Brothers, when I saw them appear on the circuit back in the 90s, I think, maybe even a little bit before that, it reminded me of the first time I did stick with a guy called Steve Powell, and he just smashed my hand, you know. And it was like, all right, just to see if I would put up with it, you know. And to me, sticks, I mean, probably a lot of people will disagree, but it's got a lot softer. It's more about commercializing it rather than actually what it's for. It's for fighting, like. I mean, am I right in saying the Dog Brothers use a heavier stick as well? Or do they not? I mean, I don't know.
Not really. It's much the same. It's just their whole ethos is higher consciousness through harder contact, and
is that what they call it?
That's their ethos of how they, it's. And I must admit, it's one of the things with it is that one of my bad habits when I was fighting, or just how I was terribly slow starter. I have to get hit a lot before I start getting into a fight. So when someone's got a stick trying to smash your face, you switch on real quick. Like you have no option. You know. And I think with the stick stuff, I switch on a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And realize that you have to defend yourself a lot quicker than I do with the Thai. So.
Yeah, weapons require a completely different attitude, don't they? The moment
they do, yeah.
Sticks, swords, knives, any of those things, it just heightens your awareness, doesn't it?
Yeah, I haven't done any gatherings or anything like that. I've done sparring days with some of the guys, just friendly sparring. But depending on who you're with, and that's because they don't have a referee that's there to tell you what's happening. It all has to be controlled by you as well. So
yeah.
You, if you want to be a dick, but the people aren't going to put up with it. They'll.
Has it right? Because I used to, when I was teaching lots of private lessons, people would be doing Thai with me. There's one guy who was doing Thai with me for like 9 years as a private student. And I was like going, look, there's not much more really now, to be honest. We're just going over the same old stuff. Do you want to learn some stick? And he started doing stick, and actually it improved his Thai boxing. It changed his Thai boxing a little bit, the way he would react. Do you find it has that sort of thing with you, or has it not made any difference?
I think I have a different way. The way I do Thai isn't traditional as such, because I've done so many other different things. I moved in a different way, and things are quite different anyway. So a lot of the drills I teach for Thai, actually, it's quite amusing. My stick instructor laughs his head off, because a lot of those are Kali drills and drills that they do as well. Very similar movement pattern, very similar way of moving your feet and stuff. So
there's a crossover, isn't there? Yeah,
it blends really well.
Yeah, what I find with practical martial arts, like by that I mean like Thai boxing, and stick fighting and knife fighting and sword fighting, is because there's contact, because there's a chance you're going to get hit. It just changes the way you move and fight, doesn't it?
You do. You have to. You can't. You can't stand in front of someone quite so much and not move around. But it's hilarious.
Could you ever see yourself going back to a non-contact sport? Even when you get old.
Probably. I mean, I've had to ease back contact anyway. I shouldn't really. I picked a wrong time to go on a stick fight, when you've got sticks hit you in the head anyway. When I'm not supposed to get hit in the head. I've got various issues with my noggin. So I've had to wind
Can
back.
you talk about that? Can you talk about
Yeah.
what happened? Go on. Tell us
What didn't happen? Um,
Yeah.
a lifetime of bad choices, really. Uh, a lot of head contacts, a lot of hard sparring back in the days. You didn't wear protection, 10-ounce
Yeah.
gloves and a gum shield, and you just fought basically. The sparring wasn't a sparring session. You fought with the guys in the gym, and you got knocked down or knocked out, and you got scraped off the floor and stood back up, and you carried on and done the same thing. So it wasn't rare that you got knocked out 2 or 3 times in a class, and you'd go back and spar again. So you do that.
That's not going to do you. That's not going to do you any good, is it? Really?
No, it's not. And I did the same in Thailand when I was training out there. I got knocked out quite viciously with an elbow, and I was fighting again a week later. They don't give it much thought to anything like that. So
I mean, it is, but it's very much a way of life in Thailand. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember the first time I saw somebody get knocked out in Thailand. He was completely out. He was like a rubber doll. He was just like a floppy rag doll. And they rolled him out of the ring onto the stretcher and then took him away. No neck braces or anything like that. It was just but I mean, that was a long time ago. But, things haven't really changed, I don't think. And it's what, I think it's what drives us, isn't it? It's like, because I'm not supposed to do any training really because of me spine and me hips, but you can't stop yourself, can you? Even though I can barely move, I still need to keep moving, and I think that's what keeps you alive, isn't it? You know what I mean? Can you imagine? I can't imagine you, Gavin, just giving up and sort of taking up knitting or something. Well, yeah, I could, because you'd stab people, wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
No, I don't listen, unfortunately, sometimes to my own detriment. But I'm sure a few years ago as well, I had a really bad neck injury.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we couldn't do any clinch work. I remember.
No, I was paralysed from the neck down for a while, and then when I was not paralysed, I was pretty bad. I got some really decent nerve damage to my bits and pieces.
So how did you do the neck damage? Was that through training?
It was through training. Yeah, it was through doing. I was doing jiu-jitsu at the time. 100% my own fault. Wasn't paying attention properly. And just a guy tried to get me off. He was also quite new, so he tried to basically do a forward flip with me on his back. My face hit the ground, and I bent my neck all the way back, and then compressed everything, and then rapidly decompressed everything and went sideways. So it basically destroyed a lot of it. So
have you had any repercussions from that now? I mean, loss of sensation and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have a lot of issues with it. So I couldn't clinch for a long time to actually rip the muscle structure off my neck. So I don't have much strength on one side. It was quite bad. So I have a lot of problems.
You're quite lucky, really, weren't you?
I was. Yeah, I was in the hospital. When I left the hospital, I still couldn't move properly. I was paralyzed on one side, like I had a stroke. So when I left the hospital, they told me then that there's a fairly good chance that would be me like that forever. And that definitely might walk properly, might not, but you definitely never train or fight again or any kind of martial arts again after that. That was.
So do you take it easier now, do you think, than you did before, or are you just as crazy?
No, I'm an idiot now than I was then, I think. No, I don't. I don't think about it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I had one of my students who was learning jiu-jitsu, and he was like, "Oh, I know this weird lock, but I don't know what it's called." I'm like, "Well, do it on me, and we'll see if it works properly." So he's cranking on my arm. I'm like, "Well, I don't really feel any pain," and then pop, my arm just dislocates, and I'm like, "Oh, that probably wasn't a smart idea." But
it's an attitude, isn't it? It's like,
it is,
yeah. And I think, I mean, listening to your whole, obviously there's lots of stuff we haven't talked about. We'll probably do another podcast to get into that. But I mean, the way your life's gone, it's always been about determination, hasn't it? And about attitude. Even though you wouldn't put it like that. You wouldn't go, "I'm a determined person." You just go, "No, it's what Gav does. This is what I do." I mean, you'll be like that until you probably croak, I guess.
I think you have to be. You have to be that. But that's something you learn. You learn nothing through martial arts right at the beginning. especially traditional martial arts. You know, you learn that you have to pick yourself up and carry on, or
Yeah.
you're just not going to stick with it. You know.
Well, there's not
So
many people been doing it as long as the likes of you and me, to be honest. Most people give up after about 5, 6 years, if that, if they last that long. And very rarely do you get people still doing it. Like I've got, out of all the thousands of students I've got in, I've had over the years in Birmingham. I've been here 35 years. There's only one really that's still sort of training. Two who are still training from back then. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
and it's like, but it's really rare, you know. And
it is.
you must
Yeah,
have had them yourself. I mean, when you get these guys come in the gym, Gav, and they go, "Yeah, I want to be a fighter, I want to be a champion," and you don't see them 2 weeks later, like. And the ones who are quiet, the ones who you don't expect, are the ones who just get their head down and train. And they're the ones who you've got to look after, and then you've got to nurture them, like. Because
yeah. I remember when I first started in karate, we had well, the kickboxing side of it. We had a sparring night one night. Now the club at the time probably had about 40 people in it sparring.
yeah,
So we had this a spar on a Friday night, which consisted of the same thing: wooden floor, 10-ounce gloves, knock each other out. So I ended up getting the better of one of the guys, and his friend didn't like it. He was a lot better than me, so he swept me in a really weird way, so that I landed on my face, and I basically ruptured both my wrists. And so that was me off to the hospital. But my coach was literally like, "Get up, finish the round." Like, I can't. My wrists are. I thought I broke them. They were that bad. He's like, "Finish the round, or basically fuck off. There's the door." So I'm like, I can't do anything. He's like, "Well, see you later." So I'm outside in the public phone booth with boxing gloves on, trying to use my nose to dial my friend to come collect me and take me up to the hospital.
man.
So I'm sitting in the hospital with my friend trying to write the form out for me. And
Yeah.
then 5 minutes later, the guy that put me in the hospital turns up on a gurney, so wheeled into the waiting room. And then 5 minutes later, the guy that put him in the hospital turns up in the hospital. So there's three of us from the same club sitting in the hospital waiting room from the basically retaliation for what the other guy did. So it
Was this in New Zealand then? Yeah.
this is in New
Yeah,
Zealand, yeah.
yeah. Back in the early days. My God, that's brilliant.
So it was
That's madness, isn't it? I mean, people listening would probably be going, especially nowadays, younger people nowadays would be going, "Nah, that happened." But I can assure you, that these things used to happen in my day as well, where people would be severely injured and end up in hospital. And it was just commonplace, wasn't it? Nobody even nobody ever sued anybody, did they? You know what I mean?
there was no such thing as it. It's just
Nah.
But after that session, the class went from 40 odd people down to maybe 4. No one wanted it anymore. They're like, "No, we're not got any interest in that." Like, but
But of course, you went back.
I went back, but I
Yeah.
was in plaster, and both wrists in plaster.
Yeah, but you still went back, obviously.
Of
Yeah, you
course.
still do
I went
martial
back
arts.
while my wrist was in plaster, trying to do stuff without throwing punches, because I'm a moron. But yeah, it's just how it was, and
Yeah,
the instructor used to knock people out on a regular basis. It was,
yeah.
and then abuse them a little bit for being shit, not having their hands where they should have been, or it was always your fault. It wasn't it was never an accident.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. I had my first karate teacher was a bit like that, and I shouldn't really name names. I won't. But I was only 11, and he used to have 11-year-old lads, and there was only a few of us in the club. It was a karate class, Wadaryu karate. And have you heard of a thing called a makiwara board? The board you punch on the wall. It's like got straw and stuff on. He had us conditioning our hands at the age of 11. They go, "You're not punching harder. Go harder, punch harder." He was a proper like Geordie with a broad Geordie accent. I believe he was a crane driver in the shipyards in the daytime, and of a nighttime he taught Wadaryu karate. He was one of the first Englishmen to go over and train in Japan, And he used to have young lads, 10, 11-year-old, smashing our knuckles against what was basically a bit of wood with a bit of straw on it. You know what I mean? But it sort of it made you who you are today. You know what I mean? It's like we're both, like a lot of instructors. I mean, I'm a lot older than you, but I've seen my generation, your generation. There's only a few of us around because usually injuries are the thing that stop these people. But it's like you, these injuries just serve to make you go, nah, come on, let's just get on with it. Like, and I love that attitude. You very rarely get it, you know what I mean? And the whole martial arts thing's been commercialized now, isn't it? So
Yeah, I mean, it was that's another example. I was training, it's been last year, and with the sticks,
yeah,
and one of the guys, the instructor's son, was training with us, and he let the stick drop. He wasn't paying much attention, and landed, cut my eye, hit me in the eye, and cut my eye, and he was absolutely mortified. And then he's apologized, and his father's like, "I'm really sorry. I don't, I hope you don't." It's like I couldn't give a shit, man. I really can't. It's
yeah,
to me, it's part of it. You turn up, that happens. It happens. It's not a,
yeah.
it's different if someone's maliciously trying to do it. But
Oh yeah, yeah, that's different. Yeah, when somebody deliberately
yeah,
goes out their way to injure you, yeah.
have a
But
laugh
if
with
you're
it, and on
sparring,
you go.
yeah, I mean, if you're going to spar, then expect to get lumps, bumps, and bruises. You know, I say this to my guys. I'm sure you do. You know, you're sparring. That's what happens. Sorry, guys, if you don't like it, well, we can't make it any different. If we're not getting lumps and bumps, as we're not doing Muay Thai.
Exactly.
We're doing. You might as well be doing non-contact kickboxing or karate. You know,
Exactly.
or
That's it.
taekwondo or whatever. You know, it's like people who do jiu-jitsu and they complain about getting muscle pulls and tears. You go, well, you're doing an art that wrenches and twists things. That's what you get, like. But
It's pretty much it.
so if right, we'll have to start wrapping this up now, Gav. So if you could only, have you got a philosophy? I mean, if you could sum up your sort of your attitude to teaching and training in a couple of words, like a phrase or a sentence or what. I've dropped this on you,
Well,
so you haven't had
the
time to
phrase
prepare.
that my students keep giving me, I get little framed things with it written on it. It is what it is. It's always seems to be all I say. People are like, "Oh, I've hurt my leg." That is what it is.
So
Carry
it
on,
is
have
what
fun.
it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a
It
good
is.
philosophy. Yeah,
That seems to be it. There's not much. That
yeah,
just seems to be it. You got to be as easy going and as you can with things. So
yeah, yeah. Right. Okay. Well, Gav, look, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been brilliant. And I've known you for a long time, but I didn't know half the stuff you were telling me, which is brilliant. And I'm sure there's even more. So I think we
somebody
might be
likes
having a chat. We might be having another chat, mate. So thanks a lot, mate. And I'll catch you soon. Thanks for coming on.
to.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Finished there, mate. Right.